Hey everybody, I wanted to give you a couple of alchemy videos to have just to utilize. We're going to be moving into a lot of different energy and trying to keep this video short. Basically, as the ego begins to take a step backward, that's the best way to explain it, because the way it's always worked is the I am kind of resides between the spine and the heart chakra. And the I am is the you that is connected to, that is all that is. It is not connected to, it is. It's like a fragment of God residing within your field. Okay. Your it's not so much your human body as your field, because your body is made up of so many different layers. You've got emotional, you've got etheric, you've got energy body, and you also have the physical body, right? So what's been happening with a lot of us, I mean, I would say everybody that is taking my courses and things like that, we're considered light workers, or we're considered empaths or sensitives, or whatever you want to call yourself. You wouldn't really be doing this work otherwise. And we're going to go through these very different kinds of personality shifts as we move back into integration. So it's almost like you're God, and you move really far away from yourself, and then you move all the way back. And it is this dance that we do throughout all kinds of like series, and it's a game. It really is a game, and I've always known that, but at the same time, a lot of the times it doesn't feel like that. And when your ego starts to take a back seat, your whole life is going to feel off. Okay, because the I am is in the deeper part of your consciousness. And then on the next layer out is going to be your subconscious programs, aka the script. And then that energy is constantly moving like this vortex. So the I am is always going to start every conversation, every thought, every idea, because that is the only real you. But by the time your I am moves into the subconscious, well, now it's like game of playing telephone. Okay. If you've been like, okay, tell so-and-so this, and then by the time it gets back to you, it's like way different. When your I am, which is never in a state of desire, because the I am is just I am. It's just I am. So let's say you are a very prosperous, you are very opulent, you are very magical, you are very royal, you are very creative, and that is your I am. Well, then your subconscious mind says, my art it never makes me happy because I'm not good enough, or, I never have the money that I need, or nobody really understands me, or they don't pay me enough at my job. Once your subconscious mind gets into the I am, that's where desire is born. See, when it's in the I am, it's just I am. It's like if Jesus was walking around, he'd be like, I am that I am, because there's no subconscious filter for him to be like, hold on, I know that the root says I am, but let me check my subconscious mind to figure out who I am not. Because as soon as the I am processes through the subconscious, well, now there's that belief that I am not, that is written in your charts, okay, and reaffirmed over and over again through childhood and law of attraction. So your I am has an expression. That expression moves into the subconscious thought or belief. The belief starts to generate thoughts, and the ego identity, which is the separation consciousness. So it's like the exact opposite of the I am is your ego consciousness. So it's like on the inner deepest part of you is the I am. Then there's the subconscious filter of belief systems that has created the alter inversion of the God within you. So the God is deep within you, then the subconscious mind, and then because the I am processed through the subconscious filter, it went from I am to I am not, And the ego was created as a alternate ego, alternate you, alternate I am, but in an inversion. So this inversion mechanism then gets inspired. Okay. This is where motivation happens. All motivation. So I am, which is, I already am this art. I already am this money. I already am this home. I already am God. I already am healed. I already am magic. I already am, you know, whatever that it is that you're desiring. It already is. Okay. Filters through subconscious. Subconscious then projects it out. The ego basically reads the script and then begins to think about how it wants something, but it's not something and it doesn't have something. So what am I going to do to get it? And this has been your entire reality, our entire reality. So this is why so many of you are having a hard time giving up your thoughts. You're giving up that action step, because as soon as it hits motivation, that's usually when you begin to pay attention, because there's a lot that's happening underneath the surface that you're not paying attention to. Because way before you had a motivation or even a desire, I am was generating frequency of God within itself. And when it is ready to experience that, it will project itself through the lens that it has to go through in order to be physical. So in order for you to receive a physical body, you have to have this subconscious soul, the baggage, the script on the persona. Now, in this subconscious script is not just this timeline, because if you look at your astrology report, you'd be like, wait a second, hey, why is mine so jacked and yours looks so great? Because based on the work that we have done through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, if we don't resolve these I am nots and get back to the I am, we just keep adding that into the baggage. So every time you go through a lifetime and you don't manifest through the I am, if you always manifest through the ego, you will always be in lack, always. And of course, that's going to be like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And once you're not physical anymore, you're going to be like, okay, because as soon as you don't have a body anymore, you return to all there is, and you want for nothing, you need for nothing. So you can't even imagine that it gets that confusing down here. It's like, you just can't even, if something comes really easy for you and then someone's struggling with it and you're like, why are they struggling when that comes really easy to me? That would be how your I am feels about your subconscious mind. Like, no problem, challenge accepted. But if we never begin to question motivation, if we don't question our beliefs, if we don't question our needs, our wants, if we never get to know the I am, then you're going to be on a goose chase your entire life, thinking that the outside world is where you get what you believe your I am wants, when it's only your ego that wants it. Okay. And so this has been what you're experiencing. So if your I am is perfect health, if your I am is perfect prosperity, but your subconscious mind says, I'm in scarcity and my metabolism doesn't work, and in my charts, you know, I abused myself in a past lifetime, so now my body's abusing me, because that's how it works. What comes around goes around. This is cause and effect. So whatever script you read in childhood, and you're not going to like this, but this comes right from the Ascended Masters, is what you did to someone else or did to yourself in another way in a past life. So it goes victim, perpetrator, victim, perpetrator, victim, perpetrator, which means sometimes when something bad is happening to you, it is because on the opposite timeline or in that past timeline, which is all happening at the same time, you were playing the perpetrator to have that experience. Okay. And so now you're in a sick body. or now you're dead broke, or now your relationships don't understand you and you feel like just it's not fair and you can never have what you want and everything is always breaking and you're losing everything. And again, but you have to understand that from an expansion perspective, the I am would have no game at all if it came here fully integrated and didn't have that veil of density to process its I am through, and the ego wouldn't exist. It wouldn't, you, first of all, the game is that once you are in density with your I am and you have a body, then you also have a soul, a human soul, okay, that is also connected to other human souls. And deeper into the subconscious is the super conscious soul. So it's almost like if the I am has a soul and then the human has a soul. So the I am has a soul, but it's connected to the soul of God. So God's omnipresent, all-knowing. Some people call it Akashic records. Some people call it infinite potential. Some people call it the quantum field. But that would be the oversoul that also has scripts and memories and past lives, but everything in God's soul has all been transcended. There's no low density in the soul of God because it's all purified to perfection. And now it's just infinite experience with no negative, it has no negative density in it. It's completely purified. But it's all the memories, it's all the incarnations, it's all that God and everything that God is, which is all of us, has ever been. And you have, when you are in your I am, you can tap into that. And when you're in the ego, you're tapping into the human soul to see who you are. And see, this is why when the ego starts to go through its kind of death experience, which is never a death experience, but it feels like that, where all of a sudden you lose motivation, everything's going wrong, nobody's helping you, you can't manifest the way you used to manifest. It's like the chair's being pulled out from underneath you and nothing you're doing in physical reality seems to be working anymore. That is your alarm to start working from the inside out. Okay. So when I created this boot camp and when I created my Superhuman Academy, well, it's more of a class this year. It's in the idea of once you are vibrating from the I am out instead of the ego out, this is when your whole distortion of separation changes. And now you are no different than the ascended masters. You're no different than God. You're no different than the Christ and all the archangels and all of those things. You are vibrating from that place. Okay. So you have to understand that when you ask me questions like, when is this going to happen? Or how's this going to work? Who is asking that question? This is something that I'm really going to work with you guys on this year, because it's something that has been very difficult for me as well. And I'm thinking, hey, if I needed help, I want to offer the best help I can give you. And if you're not getting what you need from me, please run with the idea of what I'm saying, because if you can get this particular point, it's going to start to make everything else make sense. Because even though your ego is not, it's been almost like, now that this shift has shifted, the ego identity no longer has the authority in your reality as it used to. It used to be all the authority, because it was just reading off that script and it was living its life. It was reading off that script and living its life. The I am was never even a factor. In your eyes, I am was God above you, and you were probably guilty, and God didn't love you. But so when you start to realize that the I am within you is asking for center stage now, and it's saying, I no longer want to be a figment of your imagination. You would have never had that desire, even in your subconscious mind, if I hadn't have been vibrating the wish fulfilled or already have it. Because see, the thing is your spirit is rich in the kingdom. Your spirit is opulent. Your spirit is all knowing. Your spirit is all creating, and it wants to create something very unique here in this time with this planetary shift. And so what it actually did for you was, and this is not something that, I mean, it always happens through every incarnation, but this time there's such a density shift that when you were born, you were actually born as a twin this time. Because of when you incarnated on the planet, you incarnated at the time of the shift. So there was two of you born, okay? Literally. One was vibrating in a 5D timeline, and one of you is vibrating in a 3D timeline, okay? The 5D timeline has been the accumulation of all that you have integrated. It is you in a physical form residing in the fourth dimension, although living in the fifth dimension. Like, you have to look at the fourth dimension as the bridge of communication. So how 5D you is going to communicate through 3D you, and how 3D you is going to build, or not, that's not a good word, let go of density to walk on the bridge of 4D to integrate in, is based on that I am presence. So it's almost like in the 5D reality, the I am is connected to the oversoul of God, and the ego identity is exact replica of the I am, because it's integrated its separation. In 3D, you have the I am, you have soul contracts, you have karmic contracts, you have density and separation belief systems, and then you have an ego, which is the definition of edging God out, okay? So on one plane of full-blown reality, you are living, you are thriving, you are being, you are having, you are saying, you are doing, you are fulfilling over there. And then over here, your job is to dismantle the ego identity, integrate all the subconscious karmic contracts back into love and light, and shift the ego into the I am. Okay, so you're starting to get this. And so this is where I have been pushing Imagineering for over a year now, because when you Imagineer, you're visiting your 5D self. You're visiting who she and he is. And what that does is it starts to make this I am stronger within you. Because it's like when you're little, you're like, I am. And then it's like, I am not, I am not, I am not, I am not. And then you realize, oh, my parents have been reading off this script, and everybody's reading off this script. And no matter how I try to hide myself, everybody can read this script. And so I've got to change this script in physical reality. I've got to learn to manifest. I've got to get a lot of money. I've got to change this body. I've got to do all these things. So people stop reading this script. And so I can change the script. And as soon as the ego is emotionally motivated, because the ego resides in your emotional body. This is why I've been telling you guys, do not trust your feelings. As far as not your feelings, but your emotions, your deep feelings of knowing, that's your I am conscious. Like, I know that I'm wealthy. I know that I know this. I know that I've been here before. That's your feeling knowing. That's your crown chakra. Okay. Your root chakra is your ego gets broken into 3 fractals. So it's like everything is always a photocopy of everything else here. Okay, so, but it's inversion. So in the higher planes, there's kind of a me, myself, and I. And in the lower planes, there's a me, myself, and I. So there's a God that is the I, that is just frequency and energy. And then the myself is all the children that he's created, all of the ascended masters, all of the teachers, all of the archangels, including all the devils. And then the me version of that is going to be those that are all the way in separation, working our way back. So even God has a me, myself, and I. And so we have a me, myself, and I. But then what happens is the further we get from the I am, the ego begins to play God, and it breaks itself into three, me, myself, and I's. So now the ego is what we call IG, or the impulse ego. This is the one that's like, all of a sudden you're just walking by and you're like, I'm eating cake. You're walking by and you're buying something. You're walking by and you're taking a drink. You're walking by and you're saying something. And it's completely just automatic, and it's very impulsive. It's very impulsive, and it gets a lot of hope very easily, and it gets a lot of excitement very easily. And that's your impulsive ego that's going to divert you away from motivation, from discipline, from class. Okay. And because ego has a stronghold, and your subconscious mind has generated your 3D reality, understand that what you're living is actually a holographic generation of your subconscious mind. So the reality that we live is the script that the film industry behind the door of the matrix builds your reality out of yours. So your reality is going to be different than everyone else's, but because the ego is in collective consciousness, it is projecting itself up against different realities, trying to know thyself. So the secondary ego is the ego that we will be working with the most with I am. And this is the ego that gets yourself up and showers even when you don't want to, and it loves on your kids even when you don't want to, and it's getting you to the next, it's getting you to the next place. It's telling you, don't put your hand over that fire. You know, it's kind of like helping you stay third dimensionally focused. It's also helping you kind of remember things that you have learned. It's like your personal assistant. Okay. Now, the third ego identity is what we would call the super ego, or the spiritual ego. And this is the one that it feels better than everyone else. It feels too good to be here. It feels like it's not fair. Like what's the point? This is below me. This isn't where I should be. Like, I deserve way better. Like, this is the you that starts to feel bigger and better than what you have created. And the impulse ego, the reason why it's so impulsive is because it feels less than everyone. It feels, when it gets a hunger, or when it gets a bill in the mail, or when someone says something in a tone, it goes right into unworthiness. That's what impulse ego is. So you have unworthy ego, you've got operational focused ego, who's helping you maintain your physical experience. And then your third ego is your super ego, that is saying you're too good to be treated this way, and you don't deserve it. And it's the tantrum, and it's the very dramatic kind of the very dramatic you. Okay. And maybe not a lot of people get to see that, because that's just for you. Okay. But see, now you see what you're up against here, because all you're doing when you live in the mental world, which is where the script is. So your mental reality is where your astrology is. This is why when people go into the occult, or they go into the lower densities to become spiritual, like occult studies, they don't ever get past the mental psychic world, because everything is about intelligence and numerology and function and form, and nothing can ever be past what the numbers say here. Okay. Now, in God consciousness, that is sacred geometry as well. And there are absolutes as well in sacred geometry. But as creator can bend templates, can bend forms, can bend numbers, can bend light, can bend this, can change all of those ultimates and absolutes into whatever it says. But the more density you create, the more solid everything is, and the more black and white it is, and the more proof you have. And so most of your spiritual journey, until your ego begins to die or integrate, is going to be based on what you can prove with your psychic, your mental, and your emotional body. Now, your I am lives in your spirit body. Okay. Your spirit body is the life force energy that beats your heart. It keeps your body alive, even though you treat it like trash. It's the it's the connection to earth. It's connection to God. It's the same frequency as the ascended teachers. It's the same frequency as the archangels. It's the same frequency as God. And it never, ever, ever changes. What happens though is the more you are focused on beliefs, the more you're focused on thoughts, the more you're focused on how your emotions feel, the more you're focused on what you do not have, the more separation you build between your I am and your I am not model. And so if you came here to clear this karmic contract so that you could live in your 5D reality, which is why you came, then at some point, usually around the age of Aquarius, your forward motion, which was never forward motion, begins to halt. And so now what is happening is the process of you, instead of working from the outside in, try to find out who your higher self is, you're going to be working from that inside out, and your I am is going to begin to lead the subconscious, and the subconscious will then tell the ego what it is allowed to be and say and do. And this is when it feels like all hell is breaking loose in your life, because it's going to raise your authority issues. It's going to raise your rebellious issues. It's going to feel like everything is against you. It is going to feel like God hates you. It's going to feel like you're unworthy of God, when all that's happening is it's a change of position in who's carrying the dominant vibration. So instead of ego carrying the dominant vibration, the I am consciousness begins to hold the dominant vibration, and it makes everything else very uncomfortable because the vibration is already complete. And so when you go in your imagination and you're spending time with your 5D you, you're downloading that into the emotional and the chemical body, which is the physical body, and the body starts to go, well, wait, what's happening over here? That looks way better than the suffering that we keep doing, even though we're super addicted to it. Wait, what is that? There's peace over there, there's calmness over there, there's joy over there. But wait, I only get joy when I eat chocolate or go out with my friends or when I watch TV. So wait, what? And so the body starts to go into a different state of hypnosis. And so then the body starts to boil up all of those repressed emotions to be cleared so that you can lighten up. So imagine your 5D body is the best body that you could imagine you having. Okay. So it doesn't mean like some far off comparison that, I mean, you can, because you're a creator. Who knows? Maybe that's what you came for. And again, we came at different stages of our consciousness to master the game. And we did not care so much about the cards we were going to be dealt, because we knew that it was our karma. And we knew that with this particular bloodline and those particular parents in this particular body, I was going to be able to fulfill my 5D destiny perfectly and live exactly the way I wanted to. So the body that you're in is maybe not your 5D body, but it underneath what you have done to it and how you have neglected it is the superhuman version of you that has access to all your gifts, that has all of its birthright of abundance, that has all of its territory, that has all of its kingship and queenship. And it's not ever questioning that. Okay. So when you don't use your imagination, okay, then you're probably not going to be motivated where I'm going to take you next, because two things have to happen for you to be able to even take this course and finish it. Bottom line, whichever course you're taking, because I'm going to put this in a couple classes. Number one is you have to be in that state where nothing's working, because as long as your ego is still giving you satisfaction in certain areas, you're never going to be able to confront the work that I'm teaching right now, because that is like, this work that I'm teaching you is a rock bottom state of being work, because as long as you're being fulfilled by the gym, even though you're not losing weight, as long as you're being fulfilled by chocolate, even though you feel like crap the next day, as long as you can gossip about people and you can justify it, or you can justify the world and you still can get joy from those things, you're not going to do this. Okay, so that's why I give it 2 for Eater, because I know that if it resonated at all with me, at some point, you're going through this 5D transformation, whether your ego likes it or not. And when that is when you finally say, uncle, okay, I give up. I can't do this by myself. I can't keep hoping that my ego is going to figure this out through the next modality or figure this out by the next YouTube video. I'm going to have to dismantling the way that it's been flowing and working. Once it stops working, that's when you're going to get serious about this work. And that's what it took for me as well. So, you know, I'm right there with you. So with that being said, is once you are ready, because nothing else is working, and you're finally like, okay, I'm listening, and your I am is like, good, because I have taken the ego's motivation away. It's almost like, you know, what COVID did. It forced us inside of ourselves for a few years, and relationships broke up. You found different aspects of yourself. You realized you didn't really want to work for a living. You realized that, you know, the rat race that you've been in was like ridiculous. You started noticing what the government was. So it was a big wake-up call. And this is going to be the second part of that. And if you don't take this second part, don't worry, because physical reality has another, something else planned. So it's almost like either you're going to go through this with your higher self, or you're going to go through this with collective consciousness, but it's going to feel like the government is doing this to you, versus what I want to show you is the higher self is doing this through you, for you. Okay. So, because good, there's something coming. Just wait till March. All right. Out there. But if you've already let go of out there, and you're beginning to work with your spirit, your Holy Spirit, your ascended master companionship, your archangels, your guardians, your connection to source as the authority in your world, well, then whatever happens out there will be for your best interest, and it will be in perfect alignment for your 5D world. If you do not do this work, whatever happens out there will feel like a personal attack on your life. It'll feel like a personal, like, smack in your face. You will feel betrayed. You will feel misled. You will feel terrified that your power is disappearing out there, when egoic power has always been false power. And why the dark is illuminating right now is to show you that you were here to self-govern. So when you no longer trust your government, it is the perfect gift for you, because you're like, wait a second, I do not want to invest in water and food in a low vibration, because then the person with the biggest gun is just going to come to my house and take my water. I would prefer to go get right with my higher self and lead with my spirit, where I am divinely protected. The God within me is bigger than any problem with outside of me. When I am on holy ground, I am not part of karmic ground. I can turn my burden over to the Christ within through my I am aspect of ego. And over here, I am the victim of circumstances. So this is where our affirmation process has been going on this year. So we've been doing I am work, our affirmation work, we've been doing self-hypnosis. And the whole reason why is to begin leading with the I am presence versus leading with the I am not, and allowing that to be your motivation. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fun little thing. If you are not using the golden key, okay, which is an Emmett Fox creation, that if you Google like Emmett Fox and Google the golden key, he shows you how with any problem in 3D to use your golden key to get out of any 3D problem without going into the problem. Okay. And it's a great, like, I think somebody made like a 30-minute video out of one of his books that was all about the golden key. And I highly recommend that you watch that. because he will give you affirmations when the ego wants to run into action or run into a false solution or run into a false security or run into a hope or run into what you believe is highest excitement when it's actually lowest excitement. Then you can golden key it, you can pause, and then you can let spirit realign your circumstances so that your I am is receiving the best possible outcome through infinite possibilities versus limited circumstantial evidence and limited circumstantial support. Okay. So that's what we've been doing in our classrooms this last year is we've been practicing that pause of, instead of rushing into the action or rushing into the mind, we're rushing back to our affirmations, and we're using an affirmation instead of the scenario thinking. So if you've been following me, you know that there's two imaginations, and the I am, which resides in the spirit world, is going to have the I am imagination, where it can imagine itself into any level of perfection, any reality, any timeline, anything it desires, but it will always come from the highest light, the highest love, the highest win for all mankind. It will never be selfish. It would never be like, well, I'm going to have this, but everybody else is not going to have it because they don't deserve it. That would not be your I am ever. Your I am is everyone wins, okay, through your I am. Now, there's another imagination that ego has created, because when it's going into its delusion of the I am early in life, and mom and dad and church say, no, you can't think that, you can't see that, you can't imagine that. Well, the ego inverts I am's consciousness into the separation of God, and it creates an alternate imagination that is circumstantially based. So anytime you use your imagination to try to figure out what someone meant, or what they're going to do tomorrow to you because you think they're mad at you, or having fake arguments in your head, or trying to find the solution based on how much money you have, or what is going to happen to you in that court appearance, or what the government is going to do to you if you don't do this, this, and this, or if the government is lying to me, what's going to happen to my money? You are in ego's imagination. And when you use ego's imagination to manifest your reality, you are using the unholy spirit to manifest that desire, which is going to create more karma in your subconscious, which means that if you don't figure out what you're doing here in your next incarnation, your soul, your astrology report is going to look even worse than it does this time. So those areas where it's like you will never have love, or you're going to struggle with money your whole life, and you don't believe me, go look in the further planets, because the further the planets get out is going to be where your greatest destruction points are going to be. Now, again, it's all for your expansion. Nothing is ever bad. But if you look at your Saturn and you look at your Pluto, okay, and then you look at your Aquarius, and what house they're in, and you understand that the root word of astrology means word. So you created this at some point through your spelling, your spell casting, which is why we are so hardcore on our affirmations these days of what we're speaking and what we are thinking, because you are creating this script. Nobody created this script from you. Could be thousands of years of you forgetting that you're God over and over again. And now the thing you want the very most says in your Saturn, you're never going to have it, or in your Pluto that you're going to keep losing it, or, in your 12th house or your first house or whatever. It's going to be like, you struggle here, but that's the very thing that 5D is like, no, we're not struggling here. You're struggling there because you have karma there, but I'm not. And I'm going to hold this frequency, and I'm going to summons you. So this is like what Abraham Hicks's work. It's like, it's always summoning you. It's like saying, hey, come into the you that you already are. All right. So, and Bashar says, follow your highest excitement, but that's the highest excitement. And ego has a lowest excitement, which is eating chocolate in bed and feeling like crap tomorrow because no one loves you. or buying another workout program because this one's too hard. That would be your lowest excitement, but see, everything is inverted in the ego. So you want to look at, you have a God within you and you have your own devil, and your own devil is the ego because it's edging God out, and it's got all of its own built-in demons, and it's got all its own built-in belief systems about God. And then you've got the perfection of God that even loves the ego and is going to be patiently awaiting this process. But at some point, your time is up for playing this game, because the earth is going through her own expansion. And so in order for you to be on her timeline or on her body, okay, you're going to have to go with the flow. It's like when you were a kid, you had to go where your mom went. So that's why a third of the planet will probably be choosing to leave, even though it looks like maybe someone else is doing it, because there's going to be a lot of people that are not ready to do this work that I'm showing you guys how to do this year, because it's going to take a whole rearrangement of the way you've seen the world your whole life. And bottom line is, now that I have begun to work with the Ascended Masters again in depth, especially like the violet flame energy, I'm realizing that we don't have to go through like dark nights of the soul to get through this. Okay. There is the easy buttons. There is the easy, like as soon as you decide, look, I want to work from the I am out and I need some help because I am all that there is. And the analogy I like to give is that when you are asking for help from your divine team, you are in a lower vibration where they cannot help you. Okay. When you are asking from a victim place, they're saying you have to come up to the vibration that we are at so we can have a communication. All right. Like it's not like a toddler can be understood by their mother. Like you have to have this same confidence and the same level of communication with them as they have with you. Otherwise, you won't get the message. So when you ask to work with your guides and your spirit and channel through your ego identity, you're not going to get the high vibrational beings that you really desire. You're going to get whatever you are a match to. This is why very victim-y people should not be reading tarot. They should not be studying their charts constantly. They shouldn't be summoning spirit, because if they're in a victim consciousness, they are going to be victimized by the inversion of God, which is the unholy spirit, and it will pretend to be God, just like the ego pretends to be God. And then your life gets even worse. Okay, so pay attention. If you are not in a high vibe, do not begin to work with your ascended teachers. Like now, if they are ready for you to do this work and your time is up, they will begin to get you ready way before you're even aware that they're there. And that's what they were working with me in this last year, because I had to go back all the way into the darkness and, grow my roots really deep in and master the lower realms. I had to master certain densities, which I'm still working on, in order to be able to have the mastership in 5D. So you have to master 3D in order to live in 5D. And the way that you master 3D is that whatever situation you're in, well, let's say you have no money. You say, okay, I'm here to master no money. Now look at that, the way your ego sees it. No, I'm here to get the money because that's what my 5D self is. No, your 5D self already has it. And the only way that you can drop 3D is to finish it. And so how you finish 3D is you master it. So you have to go all the way into the suffering, but you're going to go with your I am. See, you're here to be a flashlight in the dark. You're not here to go into the dark and suffer. You've already been suffering your whole life. You're here to turn the light on in the dark, which means your solution is not more money right now. Your solution is mastering no money and letting the ego finally stop trying and shooting itself and say, okay, This is what I'm supposed to be experiencing this time. What is it that I am here to know? What is the gift in this? How has this served me? How am I loving myself in this poverty? How am I taking care of my inner child, even though I have no way to do that? So there is a master program. So if you are in one of my other workshops classes right now, you're going to get all of the alchemy integrations. And I mean, these are fast and painless. Now, if you think that you have to suffer, that is not what I'm saying. Mastering 3D is not suffering in 3D. It is understanding why you created it and bringing love and light to a painful situation instead of trying to go to 5D and get the money to bring to 3D. 3D doesn't want the money. 3D wants love. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this in your alchemy videos. The alchemy videos are, there's going to be one for money, there's going to be one for time, there's going to be for health, there's going to be one for relationships, which includes the omnipresent relationships as well. They are very fast. They're in 3 parts, and it's going to also teach you how to begin to channel your I am, which is your higher self. And it's also going to show you how to bring that bridge of 40 into your working elevator that you're on all day long, so that you don't feel like you're getting stuck in this mastery program. So you've got to master kindergarten to get to 1st grade. But in our case, we've got to master 3rd grade to jump to 5th grade, because the 4th grade is just the bridge. And you're going to build that bridge through your affirmations, through your I am work. And then that will dissolve 3D, and you will never have to go back to it. And you'll never have to be sentenced to your astrology charts again. You will be making all of it up. You will be designing it. And you have the possibility to do this in this incarnation. And this has never been done before. Usually we just wrap it and then we'll create a new civilization. And you have the opportunity to go to this new civilization within consciousness. It's not a physical place, it's a conscious place. But you would be leading with the I am instead of your ego identity, which means you would not get your feelings hurt all the time. You would not be questioning people's motives all the time. And you would be understanding through the telepathical nature of your heart field that your feelings would be generated from your heart, not your mind. Okay, so if this resonated with you, I'm going to put the 2 classes that I have going right now in this dropdown. And if you are interested in either one of those, you can check those out. It's an ongoing class and program. You do it in your own time. You do it in your own way. It's live, it's taped. But where I say is go at your own pace, in your own time, in your own way. And I always give my products for a year, because again, we're going to be ripping layers off here. And depending on how far into this expansion you are, you might want to do it a few different times. The year-long class just started. And if you jumped in now, you would not feel out of place. Trust me, that's a belief system. But I'm offering the 90-day boot camp, which is Manifest Your Dream Body, which is your 5D body, which will help you bridge that gaps, but that's in a 90-day program. And then the year-long masterclass is where we're teaching channeling, we're teaching the 5D, action points, the 7 rays, all of those things that are going to be your like spiritual university into 5D. But then there's the quick button as far as the Manifest Your Dream Body, which is manifest the money, manifest all that stuff. If this video resonated with you, please like and share, leave me a comment, subscribe, share with like-minded people. Do not feel obligated. Do not push my work on anybody. I'm not a beginner manifestation teacher. I really focus on the biology of manifestation and quantum jumping and leaping as far as who you are as the God within you. So keep that in mind. But thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the classroom.